starting off with an icebreaker. And remember, no awes, no dings. Our first Toastmaster is a native of the Big Apple. She is the child of Colombian parents who immigrated to America in the late 1960s, determined to give their tribe a better life. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I'd like to present to you Lynda Flores with her icebreaker speech, America, Land of the Free. Please welcome.
Good morning, distinguished Toastmasters, Toastmasters and guests. I don't want to cajole myself into your hearts, but I do want to tell you a little bit about my life. I've been a Toastmaster since September of last year, but it's taken me this long to get the courage to finally complete my icebreaker today. Since I can remember, I've always been called the Yankee in my family circle. My Colombian relatives call all Americans Yankees. Like many immigrant families, my parents had the dreams of giving their 5 children a better life than what they were living in Colombia, South America. You see, Colombia at the time was moving away from socialism, and it was a turbulent time for all. They were able to immigrate legally to the United States in the late 1960s under the sponsorship of my aunt, and because of the importance of their trade, they were both able to find work quickly. My parents made the trip first with $37 in their pocket, while my siblings were left behind in Colombia to be cared for by relatives. My mother was an experienced furrier. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a person who knows how to make or repair fur garments, particularly fur coats and fur stoles. My father was a mason and began to work on construction sites in both New York City and New Jersey. They both worked tirelessly for months on end to be able to bring first my grandmother and then my 5 siblings. By the time I was born in 1970, my parents had an apartment in 103rd Street between Broadway and Amsterdam Avenue. There was a mom and pop grocery store right across the street, a pharmacy, and a record store on adjacent street corners, a Chinese cleaners, and a liquor store. Who needed to leave the block, right? I grew up watching TV shows and loved to watch gangster, war, and Western movies with actors like John Wayne, Cary Grant, Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney, Burt Lancaster, and my personal favorite, Charles Bronson. I loved all those tough silver screen actors. I remember the record store blasting music from dawn to dusk. Salsa, merengue, disco music, the Beatles, the Jackson 5, the Bee Gees, Santana. You got to change your evil ways, baby. Starland. Gonna find my baby, gonna hold on tight, gonna get some afternoon delight. Does anybody know what that song was about? No, I didn't at that time. Elton John, it's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. My siblings would gather up all their change and pitch in for the latest records. These are records, everyone. Yes, music played out of these. We always had music playing at home, and we always seemed to be celebrating some occasion. As I was the baby of the family, the first generation American, my siblings enforced all their learnings on me at a very young age. I was completely bilingual and learned to read and write Spanish by the time I was 5. I memorized my times tables up to 12 by the time I was in first grade. This would help me beat my first crush, the cutest boy in the class, blonde, blue-eyed, Douglas Levine, in a classroom math competition. To this day, I remember the feeling of beating him. It was totally exhilarating. I excelled in school, not only because I loved to learn, but also because my parents demanded that we strive for perfection, for excellence. In their eyes, education was the one-way ticket to success. And my older siblings were pressured to enforce it upon me as well. My brother and 4 sisters took on their roles as substitute parents while my parents were at work. The inside joke was, I had 2 fathers and 5 mothers. My older brother and sister were allowed to speak on the behalf of my parents at parent-teacher meetings. Corporal punishment was huge in my house, and my siblings would not only narc on me constantly, but were allowed to give me cocotazos. Say after me, coco, coco. Tazo. Tazo. That's not cocoa or tazo tea. That's knuckle sandwich, right on your head. They were the absolute worst. In school, while I was a great student and spoke English without an accent, I still felt I didn't quite fit in. My Spanish accent was different from the Puerto Ricans, and my looks were different from the American kids. I was teased from both sides because of my Colombian heritage. Cocaine jokes were rampant all the way up through college. Where was Shakira when I needed her? I graduated high school and was offered a full scholarship to an independent liberal arts college, but I opted to enroll at Hunter College, City University of New York, where I completed my 4 years. Out of the 6 children, I was only the second to graduate from college. I moved to Central Florida years later when my parents decided to retire, and I started a new chapter in my life. I met my husband in 2000 and helped him raise his son, as well as our 3 younger kids. I've tried to instill all that I've learned from my parents and my older siblings. Yes, I say it proudly. While my roots came from the beautiful country of Colombia, make no mistake, I am a Yankee. Thank you.